thank you so much. This is such a great group. I really appreciate everyone being here. Bad enough to come to the gym to work out, but then to come and talk about fitness, you know, must really have some dedication. So I do appreciate you guys coming out. So the topic this evening, exercising for maximal fat loss. I chose this topic because I feel like there's a lot of confusion about this topic. There's a lot of misconceptions about how to accomplish this. And so I wanted to kind of clear up some of those and hopefully give some people, sing on balls. I like that. That's good. They're very healthy, right? Physiologically sound. So I want to clear up some of those misconceptions and maybe give some people some ideas on what they can do to achieve this a little bit better and more efficiently. So before I sort of get into that, I did want to say the most important point is you're actually probably fine as you are, okay? Yay. Yes, you're fine as you are, yeah! We, of course, do live in Los Angeles, and there's this avalanche of media out there that's telling us that there's something wrong with your body, that you're the wrong shape or the wrong size or whatever. So all these forces are kind of working on us. I found a couple of memes on the internet to kind of emphasize this. Reflections in this mirror may be distorted by exposure to corporate pop culture and its stereotypes about beauty, right? So we all have felt that before. Here's another one that I found. If tomorrow women, and I think this includes men as well, both genders, women woke up and decided they really liked their bodies, just think how many industries would go out of business. Wow. So there's a lot of financial interest out there in making us feel crappy about the way we look and feel and our shape and all that stuff. And so just know that that's always kind of working on us. So I don't want this talk to be another kind of, fix your body, you should feel bad about the way you look kind of thing. But when I say, you're probably fine as you are, that's not just me kind of trying to make you feel better. There's actually some nice science out there about this. There's a cool TED Talk by this woman, Golda Poretsky, that basically makes this point. She found this really cool longitudinal study, 20,000 people over 14 years, so huge study, a lot of evidence around that. That basically shows that if you're doing 4 very simple habits, then your BMI, which is essentially a measure of weight, doesn't really affect your health, okay? And those 4 habits are stuff we all know already, right? So don't smoke, drink moderately or not at all, consume 5 fruits and vegetables every day, and moderate exercise, right? So taking a couple walks a couple times a week is enough. Those 4 habits basically take your weight off the table as a indicator of your health, right? So here's just real quick the science of it. These are the 4 habits as you go along here. Here's 0 habits, here's all 4 health habits, right? As you go along, the difference between the people in the different BMI categories gets less and less. So here's people doing all 4 habits, right? Again, don't smoke, drink moderately, 5 fruits and vegetables, exercise moderately. Here there's really no difference between the different BMIs. Does that make sense? So just want to point that out, this idea that, okay, gosh, I need to lose weight for my health. Probably not. If you're doing the 4 habits, you're probably okay. But then the sort of natural adjoinder is, well, what if I want to be great? What if I want to be super strong? What if I want to, be on the red carpet or whatever if you're an actor and look, exceptionally great? Well, then you probably assume, well, I have to do more. I have to really crush it. I have to go on an extreme diet, right? Probably not true. One of the cool things that I get to do sometimes one of the things I do is I write for Men's Health in this other magazine, Experience Life. This tagline, being healthy is a revolutionary act, I love. But as a writer for Men's Health, sometimes I get to talk to and interview and work with some really incredible high performers. People like Aaron Rodgers, the NFL MVP. Now, I'm not claiming that I train these people. Okay, I want to make that clear. I go in and I watch them train and I listen to what they have to say, right? So Aaron Rodgers, the NFL MVP, had a good day the other day. Casey Patterson, world champion beach volleyball player. A couple other NFL guys. Terrific athlete, James Spittle, who is the helmsman of the America's Cup team, two races running, and a couple other people. So a bunch of people on whose health and fitness depends the health and fitness of entire corporations, right? So the entire city of Green Bay, Wisconsin is resting on Aaron Rodgers' right shoulder, right? Okay, so it's not just, okay, I want to be healthy, it's very important for me to be healthy, right? So for these people, and I saw these people train, and they're obviously training for lots of different things, and what struck me every time is actually the moderation of their training, okay? Not the extremity of it. These guys actually, the people who have bodies that are worth millions of dollars, who have to perform at this high level, they train very, very moderately, very smart, okay? Yeah, they train for hours a day. They're doing more than brisk walking, right? But the training that I observed is very precise, okay? And a lot of it has to do with recovery, mobility, stretching, things like that. So they're not necessarily every day just crushing it for hours and hours. They're actually trained pretty moderately, okay? One thing that one of my friends, Todd Durkin, sorry about the out of focus here, but Todd Durkin is a trainer down in San Diego. What he likes to say is treat yourself like you're world class, okay? World class training doesn't look like crush yourself all the time. It's a balance, okay? Most of us have this kind of one extreme to the other kind of thing, right? We go too hard, or rather, initially we go too soft. We don't do anything. Sit around the couch, depressed, detrained, prone to disease, injury, other things, right? And then we swing the other way. We say, okay, I'm going to go on extreme diet, I'm going to extreme exercise, and it's kind of toggling between these two extremes. Whereas the world-class athletes, and I think the way that we need to approach our exercise, is more of a balance. A few years ago, I wrote an article called The Yin and Yang of Training for Experienced Life. And it's about finding this balance between the hard stuff, working out, fight or flight, effort, fire, intensity, right? And then the yin, right? Rest, sleep, eating, sex, slow pace, cool, broad focus, parasympathetic. So this is an outward manifestation of the way the nervous system actually works. So we have this fight or flight impulse, which is the sympathetic nervous system response. And we have the parasympathetic response, the calming response. So the nervous system is kind of built for this. It's kind of toggle between these two ideas of the yin and the yang, right? So again, sort of circling back to this like pop culture idea, I think we need to rethink our idea of what constitutes being fit and what fitness is really all about. In pop culture, we have this, right? This idea. Who's this Kourtney Kardashian, right? Looks so happy when she's standing. She looks kind of depressed over here, right? What we're supposed to think what constitutes fitness is all this superficial stuff, right? Size 0 dress, a certain weight, right? It's always 10 pounds less. I'm always 10 pounds. Right? Six-pack ab, right? 7% body fat, right? A complete, the people who have 7% body fat are like boxers and wrestlers in the Olympics. Okay, those are the people who really have 7. So if you think about how they look and what they have to do to get there, it's a full-time job, right? So the idea that a normal person like us could do that, pretty unlikely. And then whoever's on the cover of whatever magazine, right? So that's the idea of fitness that's sold to us. And I think that one service or one personal mission I have is to kind of tease these ideas apart that our weight is connected to our morality, laziness, lack of self-discipline, right? There's studies. Does everyone know what fat talk is? Anyone heard of this stuff? Fat talk? Okay. So fat talk essentially is when you go, I look really fat in this picture. Do these jeans make me look fat? It's conflating the idea of fat again with laziness and lack of self-discipline. So they actually did a study in sororities and found that if the young women took a fat talk fast and they said, all right, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to say, does this make me look fat? I feel fat, blah, 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 blah. Then actually measures of self-esteem and confidence actually went up. Measuring, right? So I have kids. A lot of people in here I know have kids. So this is something that I'm personally trying to sort of get out of our household. We get enough of that stuff outside the house, right? So I think we need to watch that, and I think it's a step we can all take. So a more positive view of fitness comes from one of my personal heroes, Moshe Feldenkrais. I was so fascinated by this guy's work that I spent 4 years sort of commuting from here to San Diego every 8 weeks or so to kind of certify in his work. And this is a mouthful, but this I think is a much healthier and more positive definition of what constitutes fitness. What he said is, my purpose is to allow people to move closer to actually being creatures of free choice, to genuinely reflect individual creativity and emotion, freeing the body of habitual tensions and wired patterns of behavior so that it may respond without inhibition to do what the person wants. So that's a pretty broad definition of fitness, right? There's no mention of body mass index. There's no mention of blood pressure or of body fat, right? It's emotion, it's creativity, right? Helping people have free choice. It's a much bigger picture of what fitness can be. Okay, a healthy person is one who can live fully his unavowed dreams. Again, it's a powerful idea, right? If your body is supporting, and it is supporting what you do, and you don't feel bound by it, right? You don't feel like it's holding you back because you don't have energy or strength or endurance, then it's so much easier to think about what's possible. Have free choice. Live your unavowed dreams. What I'm after isn't flexible bodies and flexible brains. What I'm after is to restore each person to their human dignity. So, pretty deep and broad idea of what constitutes fitness there. And I love that definition. So, how do we get there? Rule number one, do something. Okay? Right? You get most of the benefits of fitness, surprisingly, from going from doing nothing to doing something. All right? So, if you're completely sedentary, and you start taking 20 minutes of a walk, cleaning up the dishes or whatever a day, that's an enormous jump in fitness, actually. So we think that we have to go to the gym and crush it, work really hard, get our heart rates up and get our muscles sore, but actually, just walking around, doing some housework, doing some gardening, something like that, taking a walk around the block with your significant other, your kids, is actually hugely beneficial, right? This is an idea that comes from Lucio and Alm Castro, two friends of mine who wrote the New Rules of Lifting, so I want to give them credit there. Yeah, so if we're going for a couch potato or two, doing a little bit of walking, actually has a huge benefit. And that's something, whatever that something is, choose something you enjoy. Let it be tennis or walking or taking hikes, taking bike rides, walking through the city, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Choose something that you like to do. That's sort of thing number one, okay? A poor workout program done with consistency and commitment yields much better results than a great workout program done poorly, okay? So, in a way, if you don't want to do anything that I say from here on out, just choose anything and do it, right? And you get a lot of benefit. Choose something you do as fun, right? If nothing that I say now sounds fun at all, strikes you as interesting, find something that is and then do that, okay? All right, rule number two, move around a lot, okay? We evolved to move, not to be sedentary. This idea of being sedentary is something that's just come in the last blip of human evolution. There's this guy, James Levine, at the Mayo Clinic, really interesting guy. He's an epidemiologist. And he coined this phrase, NEAT, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is essentially the fact that you burn energy walking around or squirming around, right? And then he suggests that if you're moving around throughout your day, that actually you do better than someone who compacts all their exercise into a small period, okay? Here's another kind of way of expressing it. This is from my friend Frank Forenzich, author of Exuberance Animal. Warning, before beginning a program for physical inactivity, consult your doctor. Sedentary living is abnormal and dangerous to your health, right? This is what the warning should say, right? The traditional warning makes us think that exercise is some deviant practice that's going to mess up your body. It's actually sitting down a lot that's going to mess us up, right? We're born to move, yeah? And actually, again, people who walk around a lot for a living are actually quite healthy. People who deliver mail or waiters or just do a lot of housework, actually that's really healthy. So again, don't go thinking that you have to go to the gym and crush yourself, or even go to some specific place or some specific time wearing certain clothes. You can exercise and move around and have a great benefit just any time by moving around, okay? Rule number 3, work specifically towards your goal, okay? So if your goal is fat loss, what follows is what you're going to want to do. There's this really elegant idea called the SAID principle, the specific adaptation to impose demands. It's a cool idea. Basically what this says is that our body adapts to what we ask it to do, right? Okay? So if we want to get better playing clarinet, we shouldn't play a lot of piano, right? And in this case, fat loss is a specific goal that we should play for, right? So these are some people that lost some weight with a friend of mine, Angelo Polio, who runs a gym up in Chico, right? So they specifically did some stuff, and lo and behold, they had a nice little effect there, right? So all of these people train a slightly different way. A football player, fitness model, shot putter, marathon runner has specific goals, specific outcome in mind, right? And they want to work toward that, okay? Now sometimes the tools that you use to accomplish the goal may look similar. Here's a power lifter, and here's a woman who just wants sort of a higher level of fitness, right? They're both doing a barbell squat, but they're both applying that tool in a slightly different way. Okay, so if I'm working with a client who wants to, be better on the football team, I might have them barbell squat. If I'm working with a grandmother who wants to just feel better and be more mobile, I might have her squat as well. But we're working toward different goals, just using different tools. Here's a little graphic to illustrate that. This hammer can be used to build all these things, right? But the way that you use it is going to determine what the outcome is. Okay. Okay. Rule number 4. And this is what I was talking about a little bit in the introduction. Learn the truth from the myth. So one huge myth, huge misconception. I'll just work out, and then I'll just eat whatever I want. Okay? So here's some people who really want you to believe that. Coca-Cola Company, helping families get fit. What? Really? Yeah, they just started this program. In response to the overwhelming science that says that soft drinks make you fat. There's just so many studies that show of all the food items out there, soft drinks are the #1 violator as far as association with obesity. Okay? And so they hired their own scientists to counteract that and say, no, it's about exercise, right? Okay? So let's test that theory and just do a few numbers. So let's say you go and do a spinning class. Let's say you do Eddie's spinning class over here, and you work really hard, you crush it, and you do 833 calories. It's a serious workout, really intense. But then you feel like, okay, I want to reward myself because I worked hard. And I'm hungry, so I'm going to go to Starbucks, and I have a venti frappuccino, that's 510 calories. And then I have a blueberry scone, that's 410 calories. So I've just consumed 920 calories in about 7 or 8 minutes, right? And I've undone that workout and then some, okay? So obviously the idea that you can just eat whatever you want if you're exercising, the numbers just don't add up for us, okay? So you can't out-train a bad diet. We do that a lot. Brian Shires wrote that in a recent newsletter for the gym, and every trainer everywhere has said that for a long time. All right, so diet is king. See the smiley face? All right, so myth number 2. I'll just run it up. Some people will find this kind of shocking and vaguely controversial. A lot of people go, okay, God, I've gained some weight, so I'm going to put my running shoes on, I'm going to run, and then I will run it off. Here's the shocker. Aerobic training does not lead to fat loss. Okay? Aerobic training means anything where you start your exercise thing on an exercise machine, or you go outside and run, and you run at a certain pace, and you hold that pace for a long time. So that's the way a lot of us are exercising when we're trying to lose weight. It does not lead to fat loss. Here's a study. They took a bunch of people and they had them run 45 minutes, 78% of maximum heart rate. That's a really serious, tough workout. I see people nodding. That is a tough workout. 5 days a week for 12 weeks. I'm really glad I wasn't in the study. Resulted in how much fat loss? No effect over dieting alone. 0. All right? So, and here's just another kind of follow-up on that. It's possible that all the running and aerobic training might be potentially doing some more harm than good. Now, here's another study of some extreme runners. They participated in this thing called the Marathon of Sands. They spent 6 days. They did a marathon every single day. Really, really tough race, okay? Insanity, yeah? So they lost some weight, unsurprisingly. But 82% of that weight came from lost muscle mass, okay? If you are trying to lose fat, the last thing you want to do is get rid of muscle mass. Muscle mass is the stuff that burns fat, okay? You want to hold on to as much of that as you can. Doing this, like losing weight by unloading muscle mass, is the equivalent of being in a sinking boat and you need to offload some weight, so you take the engine and you toss it overboard. Or you saw down the mainmast, you toss that overboard. The very thing that's going to save you and get you to the shore, get you to your goal, is the thing you're getting rid of. Okay? Right? No worries, here's the ship's in. All right, so the bottom line on aerobic training. It's great, okay? It's great for feeling good, it's great for bone density, it has all kinds of proven benefits. Cardiovascular function, alleviation of depression, metabolic disorders, many other things, okay? But it's not good for fat loss. And this includes running, brisk walking, cycling, rowing, all other forms of steady state training. Steady state training. This is different from go fast, go slow. Go fast, go slow. That's interval training. That's a different thing. Okay, so if you like running, great, do it. Just don't expect it to make you very lean. All right? Myth number 3. I'll just do sit-ups. Okay? This is this idea, and it's a very stubborn myth that all trainers have to kind of fight against. This idea of spot reduction. Okay? This idea that, okay, this is my stomach is my problem area. So I'm going to work the muscles right next to that where my problem area is, and that's going to burn that fat off. Okay? That simply does not happen. Okay? Here's a bunch of science that tells you. No, I'm not going to read you that. But the idea is that when you exercise, when you move around, when you're calling up, mobilizing fat for energy, it happens from the fat deposits that are all over. Okay. There's one time that I lost some weight from this crazy thing a couple years ago, and like my hands were skinnier. I was like, what? Like that's, you know. So it just comes from anywhere. Okay. So the key is not necessarily to work muscles adjacent to the fat you want to burn, but to work large muscle groups to burn maximal calories. Okay, so your larger muscle groups aren't necessarily your abdomen; they're your hips, your thighs, your chest, your back, so on and so forth. Okay. So rule number 5: learn what really works. When you exercise, learn less about caloric burn during the activity, and instead perform activities which elevate the metabolism afterwards. So what are those? Okay. There's a measure of something called excess, and we give you all kinds of sciencey terms. Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. That's basically the idea that after you exercise, there's a period of time during which you're burning more calories than normal. Okay, your metabolism is elevated, it's running at a faster rate. It's like Wile E. Coyote off the cliff, right? So certain types of exercise create more EPOC than others. All right? And those activities are something called metabolic resistance training. That basically just means strength training. You do it fast, you don't rest that much, and your reps are a little bit high, but you keep your rest intervals pretty short, and you increase your metabolism. Typically, you're breathing pretty hard, and you're sweating. Okay? So that's activity number 1. I'm going to go into that in some detail in a minute. And then high-intensity interval training, which is this idea of you work really hard, you kind of redline your effort, and then you rest for a little while. And then you repeat that a few times. Okay, I'm going to go into detail on that. And then the other kind of down here, we all need to have this idea of moving around more throughout our day. And then aerobic training, if you want to toss that in, if you like running, if you like cycling, that kind of thing. Okay. We all need to be moving around throughout our day. If you have, say, 2 hours or 3 hours a week when you're exercising, this is what you should be emphasizing, all right? And then if you have a little more time, maybe do a little bit of that as well. Okay, I'm going to get into what that's all about. Okay, so just to kind of again get a little sciencey for a second. So here's a little comparison, compare and contrast. 20 weeks of endurance training, which is that steady state stuff, versus 15 weeks of interval training, which is fast, slow, fast, slow. Okay, so they had a bunch of people do these different protocols. The energy cost of endurance training is 28,000 something calories. This is during the exercise. And then the energy cost during the exercise of the interval training is only 13,000 calories. So big difference there. You're burning a lot more calories during the workout here. But interval training people burn, so for interval training burn less than half the calories of endurance training, but the interval group burn 9 times as much fat as the endurance group. Okay? That make sense? All right? So, and this was a study, and again, it was cited by my friend Holland Cosgrove. 1994 study cited a lot. We don't really know why this happens. It's kind of weird. right? Epoch is one contributor. There's also something, this is getting a little like Star Trek, they just discovered these proteins called myokines that are something released by the muscles when you work them, essentially. And they are receptors, there's myokine receptors sort of all over the body, including like on the fat cell. So this may explain like that there's this kind of, hormonal effect that happens. Squeeze the muscle and good things happen. That's essentially what this study's all about, right? Squeeze the muscle, good things happen. We don't really know, again, why, but fat gets burned up, okay? So again, how do we make this happen? Exercises which challenge large muscle groups through large ranges of motion. So here's a couple of examples. Push-up, great example. Here's a woman doing lunges and pushing her baby carriage, so nice little multitask there. And here's a guy doing a goblet squat with a kettlebell. Okay? All these exercises use many muscle groups through large range of motion. So those are great choices, and again, I'll get into that. Okay? So just to do a little compare and contrast here. So compound exercise is what you want to go after. Okay? Here's an exercise that isn't a compound exercise. She's sitting down, she's got a dumbbell, she's raising it here like that. Essentially, you're working one little muscle right here on your shoulder. Okay? This woman is working the same muscle, but she's also, by doing a push press, she's got a barbell here, she's pushing it pop overhead like that. Okay? She's also working the core, the hips, the shoulders, upper chest, the spinal stabilizer. So there's a lot more muscle mass involved in this movement than this movement. So all the benefits here are also here, but there's a lot more stuff going on here. So choose the exercise where there's more stuff going on. Don't get into isolating muscle groups. And also don't get into machines. Here she's using a hamstring curl machine. So some trainers love machines. I'm just not big on them. So this exercise is designed to work your hamstring, the muscle that kind of curls your leg here like this and extends your hip back here like this. Okay? So maybe she spends, 5 minutes on this machine to work this one muscle here. Many other choices of exercise she could do that would work that same muscle would also work other muscles in addition to that. Right? Okay? Here's a stud doing some preacher curls with some dumbbells, right? So he's isolating this muscle right here. In fact, this whole machine, the whole idea is to take the whole rest of the body out of the movement, right? Much better to do a curl while you're lunging or do a curl while you're squatting or something like that, to include, again, more muscle mass, to get that metabolic effect, a global metabolic effect. So more about this, just getting a little specific. Think about 4 basic movements. If you go to the gym, or if you have 20 minutes to exercise or whatever, think about 4 basic ideas. The upper body pushes, the upper body pulls, the lower body pushes, and the lower body pulls. Okay. So here's some good classic example, a push-up. Anyone can do some form of push-up. Okay. A row, which is just pulling your body weight toward you, or pulling an implement, a weight toward you. A squat or a lunge on the lower body push, and the lower body pull lifted something off the floor. So some examples of those. Again, a push-up, very, very versatile exercise. Here's the sort of classic version. You're on the floor, pushing yourself up, your body straight. If that's too difficult, elevate your hands. I don't like on the knees push-ups. Okay, much better to do it with your hands elevated for a bunch of reasons there. And then as you get stronger, just use a less elevated platform, and that makes it tougher and tougher. If this is too easy, you can elevate your feet. You can do this kind of crazy down dog thing and push like that. That's very tough. Or do explosive, okay? Or if you're a stud, you like to throw big weights around, you can do a bench press or incline double press, something like this. This is all the same stuff. So if you walk in the gym and you're like overwhelmed, just think, I gotta push something with my upper body in some direction. Overhead, down, out, push my body away from the floor, something like that. All super simple, okay? Upper body pull. The classic one here is the row with a TRX. All right, TRX is a pair of nylon straps pulling your body toward that. If this is you can make this easier by walking your feet back, so you're at less of an angle. You're walking forward, and that makes it tough. Okay? So here's the elevated feet. Here's doing the same thing with an implement. And here's this macho dude here doing pull-ups. I used to think pull-ups are really important. I don't really think they're important anymore. I think most people have a traumatic experience with pull-ups at some point, right? Like at the presidential fitness, everyone remember that? Oh my God, right? So, I mean, what worse way to turn someone off from fitness for their whole lives than to just have them hanging there, and the whole class is there counting and watching, you know? I mean, what a horrible thing, yeah. So you know, enough of my clients were like, this reminds me of this, you know. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. All right, so we push something with the upper body, we pull something with the upper body. Lower body push. Classic example of this is a bodyweight squat. Just squat right on down. Okay. Now, they're like, you know, we could go down the rabbit hole of form and how to do this, you know, exactly right, and you know where your hips should be, where they should healthy, all that stuff. You know, not the purpose tonight. Generally, squatting, lower body push, a good example there. Another great example, just a lunge. And most people know how to do that. You can do that stepping, you can do the back foot elevated. Lots of options there. And again, for the macho among us, you can do it with a barbell on the back. Okay. Lower body push, a squat. And you know, most of these exercises, if you take the strongest guy in here and have him do a minute of squats as fast as they can, and that's pretty tough. Okay. Or I can take someone who's deconditioned and just have them do a half squat for 5 reps, and that's tough for them, right? So very versatile exercises, right? Don't need a lot of equipment. And again, if you look around the gym, all these categories, you can siphon any machine that you see into one of these 4 categories. Okay. Finally, this is probably the one that's most technically challenging, but there's a simple version of it: the lower body pull, where again you're pulling something off the ground. The simplest version of this is a step up. You're not really pulling it off the ground, but you're still, you know, you're stepping through in a similar way. Okay, you're just stepping onto a platform. You can do it with dumbbells. You can do it with your body weight. You can do it with a lunge in between. Lots of variations, but that's the kind of simple one. I like this implement, the hex bar. They're kind of hard to find, but they make the range of motion really comfortable. Here's another version, single leg. Here's another version with a barbell. Lower body pull. So there are your 4 examples, your 4 basic movement categories. You take care of those, and you're good. Okay? If you have time and want to do something, you know, just kind of extra, some kind of core exercise, a plank is a great example. I'm not big on sit-ups. Sit-ups have been shown to be rough on your spinal discs. I talked to a guy named Stuart McGill, who is a spine biomechanic guy up in Canada. Basically, he says the fastest way to herniate a disc, they actually have a machine that herniates discs, and it does the sit-up motion to the spine. They take a cadaver spine, they put it in a machine, over and over again, bang, discs. Okay? So be careful with it, and that includes crunches. That includes crunches. Okay? This is not great form on this plank movement, I apologize for that. But the plank is a great exercise, and there's lots of variations on that. So that's optional exercise number 1. The other 4 exercise categories I mentioned before will kind of cover this area if you do them well. Okay. Another optional move, something explosive. All right. We tend to lose power quickly as we age. We lose power more quickly than we lose strength. Okay. So like. And that can be very detrimental. You know, people, as we get older, people fall and they hurt themselves. And the inability to catch yourself, that's because you lack power, the ability to accelerate, to express strength quickly. So I tend to include some explosive movements in my clients' workout. So here's a good example of swing, you know, kicking a bag, leaping, throwing a medicine ball, so doing something where you accelerate. All right? And then the final category, the final sort of optional of the 3 optional categories, carrying something heavy. I've recently sort of become a fan of this. There's a coach named Dan John who sort of sold the whole fitness community this idea. And basically, all you got to do for that is, you know, give someone piggyback, lift up the kid, take a couple dumbbells and walk around with really good posture. Great exercise. Surprisingly challenging. Great for the grip. Great for sort of stabilizing this whole trunk area. Important exercise to do if you have time. Okay. So then the rejoinder, you know, you go, oh, what about the inner thighs? What about my calf muscle? What about my best tricep moves? Don't worry about any of that. Okay? All these things are going to be, all those muscle groups are going to be covered by those other movements that I just discussed. Okay? Okay, so then just quickly how to build a workout out of these things. If you're interested in sort of the big picture here, 3 or 4 sets of these things is great. Okay, 8 to 12 reps, somewhere in there. You can just do 1 set of everything if you want. You know, again, it's not get too attached to numbers and measurables, things like that. But this is just a general guideline, 8 to 12 reps. You can combine exercises, right? So you do an upper body and a lower body, you go back and forth, right? And occasionally go higher or lower with your reps. Important point here, though, is choose a weight that challenges you, all right? A lot of people, they go, okay, I'm going to do 12 reps today. So they take the 15s and they do the 12 reps. And then they come back on Wednesday and go, I'm just going to do 8 reps today. And they take the 15s and they do 8 reps. Okay. Same weight. But if you're really working, you're really challenging yourself, and when you go to 8 reps, you should go to the 20s or the 17.5 or something, right? You need to sort of adjust your weight based on the reps that you're going for. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. And I mean, this has been shown that the most important thing is the degree of effort that you put in, right? Okay. Not so much how many reps and all that stuff. Okay. So again, just breaking it down a little bit more. A workout might look like this. You spend 5 minutes doing some kind of warm-up. You're just kind of moving around, stretching a little bit, whatever you need to do to get your heart rate up. And then combine an upper body pull, lower body push. So that could be a row and a lunge. 3 sets of 12. You go back and forth, one then the other, 3 times. Okay? Then a lower body pull and an upper body push. Step up and push up. Go back and forth. Same thing. And then maybe do your optional exercises that I explained before. And then do some stretching. And I have 4 stretches that I love that we all need to do. Doorway pec stretch. You've got a doorway. You can lean into it, just like this shows. We all curl over too much. We're all at desks too much and cars too much. So all this is really, really tight. I see people sitting up. So spend 30 seconds to a minute in that position. All right? Stretch the hip flexors, okay, which is this muscle right here. Again, we get tight here. When this is tight, it pulls the spine into this hyper-arched position. That tends to hurt. So we need to stretch out our hip flexors. That's a great version. This is a more intense version. And then the yoga down dog is great for just stretching out the calves, hamstrings, opening the chest a little bit. And then finally, I like a lying knee rock, just to twist the spine a little bit. You have this a different plane of motion there, so that's kind of nice to do periodically. I will, by the way, if you put your email down there, I'll send you these slides so that you have it. You don't have to, yeah, thanks. So you don't have to memorize frantically everything I'm saying here. And then, so say you have 3 times a week, you do metabolic resistance training, you have a little extra time either at the end of the workout or you want to get a little workout in some other time during the week. High intensity interval training, super simple. Choose some cardio activity that you like, all right? You could sprint if your body can take that. You can climb on one of those VersaClimber things, cycle, row, anything else. You do jumping jacks, jump rope. Choose an interval, okay? 1 minute or less, so pretty short. Choose a rest period up to 2 minutes, and just repeat that 4 to 8 times. All right? This is a very short workout. Right? If I do 30-second sprints, and I do that even 8 times, and I rest for 2 minutes, I've worked out 20 minutes, something like that, and I've only exercised for 4 minutes. Right? But this has a great residual effect, huge EPOC, huge excess post-exercise burn of calories afterwards, okay? All right? Vary your activity when you do this, and your work interval should be tough. Okay, so if you say 30 seconds, it's not, oh, great, I only have to jog for 30 seconds, right? No, you're going kind of bad out of health in those 30 seconds, assuming that your body can take that and you've kind of worked up to that. Okay, so that work interval should be hard, okay? So, just concluding here, it is important with your workout program. Consistency is extremely important, okay? I have clients that start and stop, fall off the wagon, they come back. That's all, I mean, it's fine. Life gets in the way. But some of these workouts just don't really take very much time at all. So if you're just a little bit selfish with your time, so half an hour a day, and you're consistent about it, and you stay focused, and you don't become this guy on the phone, right? Let the time be your time. Let the time be your time to build your foundation so that you can then get out of the gym and give your gifts and do your mission in life that has nothing to do with this. But take this time in the gym to to focus on yourself. I think that like the sort of Eastern practices have this monopoly on this idea of a practice, right? A martial arts practice or a yoga practice or something like that. I think that the Western approach, the working out can also have this feel. It's just something you do, like a mantra, frequently to yourself. Your time to take care of yourself, so that again you can be maximally effective outside the gym. So, brief sales pitch on the kind of things that I do. I have a few different angles on training. I do one-on-one training. Any clients here? Yes, I have a couple clients here, which is great. Yes, yeah. One-on-one training, basically, that's I design a program specifically tailored to exactly what your goals are. We get you mobilized well. We get you feeling really good, and it's based on what your tastes are and what you like, and exactly what you want to accomplish, and we dial things in really, really carefully and precisely for you. And that can be really fun. Small group training, this is something that I'm starting to do more of. I'd like to do more of. Basically, I train several people at once. Again, the training programs are designed specifically for you, right? Exactly what you're doing. But my attention is a little bit divided among a few people. But there's a nice group vibe. People kind of feed off of each other, and that can be a great way to go. And is a little less expensive than just straight one-on-one. And then finally, I'm starting to do a backyard boot camp just in my backyard in Glendale. Okay, and that's going to be starting up in the next couple of weeks on Saturday mornings. Just a nice group energy. We're doing again the metabolic resistance training angle. So exactly the stuff that I've just been talking about. That's the kind of thing we'll be doing. It's a lot of fun. We've got a trampoline now. We've got a tight rope. We've got a TRX kind of setup. We've got kettlebells, thick rope for jumping, and regular rope for jumping. Lots of different fun things to play with. So if you want to join us for that. Oh, and people that are here, if you put your name down, make sure that you're on there, then I will give you 2 of these for nothing. Okay. Just love to see you there, just to get you a sense, because there's a lot of information I've thrown at you. This will give you some experience actually doing it. Okay. That's me, and that's my contact information. Again, I will send you people these slides if you want them. And thank you very much for coming. Questions or concerns? Yes, Laura.
How long will the backyard boot camp thing be on a Saturday morning?
Oh, just an hour. An hour.
So we're working out that whole hour, or you're doing, if there's it's intervals, so you're going to have like the concept of the punch it out and then chill out.
Yeah. They're not.
I want to go, but not if it's going to be too.
No. Listen, it's all gonna it's going to be scalable, right? So it's not, if you don't get, one guy can get 100 reps, one person can get 5 reps. It's all fine. Okay, it's all good. Okay. Cool. Anyone else? Questions, concerns, comments? Yes, sir. Russ. Yeah.
So, what's your take on foam rolling? Is that something that should be incorporated, regular workout, prior to a workout, after a workout?
Yeah, foam rolling, people know what that is? Some people do, some people don't. So foam roller there's a bunch of them on that stand over there, that little, So it's a thick piece of industrial styrofoam. It's varying degrees of hardness. Some, the harder ones are a little tougher. Basically, you situate your body on top of it, you roll your muscles along it, and it's extremely painful. Yeah. I mean, look, it's like, everything helps, The question is always that everyone's limited in time, right? So, I mean, if you had unlimited time to work out, I would say, sure, roll the hell out of yourself. Some people really swear by that stuff. Mostly it's effective in reducing extra tension, right? So if you're doing stuff at the end where you're taking deep breaths and you're going deeply into those stretches and doing yoga-like moves, I think that should take care of it. If you feel like super tight and super tense, foam roller is great. I don't think it's like super high priority, is the quick answer. Yes?
A question about eating before a workout or after a workout. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is it wise to eat?
Yeah. The most important thing, if you work out early in the morning, it's, the most important thing is hydrating. It can be helpful to have a little bit of protein beforehand. You want to make sure that you get some, this is my experience. I mean, there's all kinds of science about this, but my personal experience just anecdotally is sometime in the window before or after your workout, you should have some infusion of protein. Because what happens is you have this breakdown of muscle tissue. And if you don't have protein to support that, then the body's going to go catabolic. It's going to be breaking down more tissue faster than it can repair it, right? So you want to have some protein in that window before or after, say within an hour, okay? And whether you do it before or after, it's kind of a matter of taste. If you were trying to beat a powerlifting record or, build a huge amount of muscle, which you are, right? Yeah. Right, I called it, I kind of knew. Then before, during, after, you just want to be constantly swelling that stuff. But short of that, then something before or after or during is okay. Yes. Anyone else? Meredith.
Let's say you
For
have
instance.
some injuries.
Let's say you have some injuries.
Or some, things you're still healing from. And if we were going to do a boot camp or something with you, I know you said it's
Scalable?
Scalable, but like really, really scalable,
Really, really scalable?
Really scalable.
Yeah, I mean, I can look. I mean, I know you have wrist issues. I can work with that.
And you can still get enough benefit out of.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's some things that we just say, okay, well, we'll have to just modify that to work. We don't want to exacerbate your injury, But I can totally look at that. We should be creative. Yeah. Yes.
So seriously, you don't have to do sit-ups? Seriously? Like that, what do you call it? Like when you do
Plank.
the plank? Okay, and also what's the difference between the yoga planks that you do, when you're on your hands versus
On your elbows?
when you're on your elbows?
Yeah. So when you're on your elbows, you take the triceps more or less out of the equation. So some people have a hard time holding themselves up here and they fail here before they feel anything here. If you're on your elbows, then this is the thing that's going to get the most effect. Yeah. Sit-ups, I mean, it's not that you shouldn't work your core. It's just that repeatedly sitting up is just really hard on your
Is
back.
that the only thing that's a good substitute for this area?
There are plenty of other things. I mean, again, this is very shorthand here to say, okay, but I do really like the plank exercise. And then lots of variations on the plank that, again, come on to boot camp and I will show you.
So just one more, how long would you need to do it? And do you need to do that in intervals too, in lieu of sit-ups? Do you just do this?
Well, you can if you take a plank and if you can hold a plank for 2 minutes, then you've got all the abdominal strength you need. Okay, so work up to that.
Yeah.
All right? Yes?
Can you elaborate a little bit about the plank? I don't know if you said plank or push-up. You said you don't like doing it on the knees?
Right, the on the knees push-up. I think if you're, it's just because it's if I want to make that harder, then my only step is to go to on the feet, right? The next step up is on the feet, all right? That's a pretty big jump. Whereas if I do an elevated hand push-up, right, and then I do a slightly less elevated hand next time, then I can slowly work my way down to the floor.
So
See what I mean?
when we do that in yoga class, because those aren't available, like that, the other option.
How would you do like an elevated hand push-up in a yoga class? Yeah, I mean, what's that? You could do it with partners, yeah, conceivably. You could do it with chairs. I mean, you'd have to kind of make a whole show of it, probably. It's that, again, that it's hard to go from on the knees to on the feet. That's just like going from a 20-pound bench press to a 90-pound bench press in one jump. That's a big jump. The other thing is this straight body idea, just learning to hold this body in this position. It's just a good skill to reinforce. That's why I like push-ups, that's why I like the row, that's why I like standing exercises. This is kind of how we're supposed to be, right? And this on the knees thing, it's fine, but the body is like, what is this? What's this all about? It's confused. Yes.
Since you accentuated that you can't just keep you on
Yes.
while you're exercising,
Yeah.
you also developed specific meal plans for people
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I have some basic guidelines as far as that goes. If people want to really dial in their diet, I tend to farm that out. There's a guy that I go to, those before and after shots that I showed you, that's my friend Angelo Poli, who's a genius at this stuff. And I've had some clients, Bob's worked with him. I've had a few clients who've worked with him who have had really good success with that meal plan. And he's very specific, and he's worked with, he actually is how I work with Aaron Rodgers. So he's really high end. And not overly expensive, and he's always adjusting the diet. So he's not just like, here's your meal plan, goodbye. It's like, here's your meal plan for the next 3 days. How's it going? What's happening? And then we adjust it. So usually, the specific stuff I farm out. Yes? Jones.
What was the background of you deciding that you wanted to do talks like this?
To do talks like this?
Yeah. Why this talk? Why talks like this?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, I do think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it, and I think that people are, prone to this, or like again, this media thing of how we're supposed to feel about our bodies and how we should treat our bodies, and this kind of discompassionate take on how people feel about this thing that we're all walking around with. People have this disgust over their body and sad. So I mean, that's part of it, is like the mission in life things. Like I think it's sad that we feel that way, and that I'd like to present an alternate message to all this crap that we are onslaught with. And I'd love to work with anyone.